Hey everyone, my name is Flicker, and I'm just making this cursed dream slash nightmare log. Because what I went through in the dream or nightmare, dream for me, nightmare for other people. And it's only a fragment of the dream, but it's something that genuinely would make a lot of other people's skin crawl. Is that in the dream I had a worm infestation in my own fucking body. It's not like usual tapeworm idea, no. Some of these things were fucking colorful. They were slimy and squishy. Hell, some of them even had visible mouths to me. Oh, apparently my brain was associating catching these worms with being in an old childhood environment where the water wasn't nearly as clean or as sanitized and safe. Meanwhile, when I was in a shower or just in a bathtub letting the warm water run over me, my body temperature would increase and the worms would crawl out from my body. Sometimes I'd like puke them up. Not even really puke, they'd just kind of come up into my throat and then I'd pull them the rest of the way out. I've pulled a few out my ears. And I saw little worms just crawling out from underneath my fingertips into the water because my body stopped being a habitable environment for them. And the crazy thing is, I think this is in relation to my feelings. Because if the previous instances where I've had this caustic, vile, this caustic, sticky, uh, soapy-like substance that would just get get over everything and contaminate it, and would barely be able to be washed away by genuine water and whatnot, as the unhealthy feelings I had for someone I cared about. Then you can think of these little worms as the attachment issue itself. Get out of my body for fucking sake. The one thing that was interesting is that in my dream they were technically contagious, so you'd want to try to rinse them down a drain and then close that drain point so that way they can't just crawl back up and start spreading throughout the house. Between worms and slugs, just slugs, snails, whatever. Fucking And yet, I didn't really panic. It was just like a, God damn it, this is inconvenient kind of thing. Which is why I would frame it as a dream, and other people would frame it as a fucking nightmare that makes their skin crawl to no end. Hmm. Oh. Also, the reason why I have this in the background is because it is a detail point that I think is properly important. And I'm going to rephrase this here because it changes the ability to of application and the ability to acknowledge that context to a larger area that helps people realize what's going on. Some people basically don't see any conflict in their lives and get everything handed to them. And and in that case, they practically revert back into being a child. If you have kids, or have been around any recently, you'll know they start crying and complaining about the most basic things. Their toy fell on the ground, they scraped their knee, etc. They do this because for them, this is literally the worst thing that has ever happened. They don't know the pain of having to pay taxes, of having your heart broken, of having to day in, day out work at a job that's killing you just to pay rent. And billionaires are basically the same. Successful and popular people are basically the same on a social level. They are surrounded by yes people, sycophants who agree with everything that they do, and because they have that sense of success and popularity, they get most of everything they ask for and want. They encounter little resistance in their lives, and so when the little resistance does come up, they throw a tantrum. It's the whole reason why I wanted them to throw up more resistance. Why I wanted the dense stork to throw up more resistance than just the polite and reasonable. Because I'm worried that one day they'll run into someone who is either going to throw a tantrum over not getting what they want, which will push their limits to the point of breaking, or even worse, someone who doesn't even realize that the harm that they're doing, and the dense stork won't realize the harm that they are enabling because they tolerate it by even the slimmest of margin. Emotional maturity, complexity, and discussion is not something that the information-based world around us really likes dealing with. Because it's a volatile space for most people at this point. You say your own feelings, and then someone's going to try and say, no, you're wrong, because they feel like that invalidates their feelings. When, no, it doesn't invalidate your feelings. Your experiences and worldview might not match with someone else's, but that doesn't mean you have ever stopped mattering as a person, or that your experiences ever stopped mattering. It just means that you're not the only experience out there, and there are things worth learning from other people without invalidating your own history, feelings, and otherwise. It's about sitting in that uncomfortable space and giving it room to breathe instead of trying to make it go back to being comfortable. Yeah, this is honestly me right here. It worked. You forgot about it. Aw, that's actually adorable. Like, yeah, in some regards, the right and the left have their own cults of sheep that just bleat over what they've been told. How would you know? You never read it. You never cited it properly. And that's the point of citation. Not only just to keep the history, but to also prove, hey, you're not misremembering this. You actually went and were able to reliably find it. So I can trust that you actually read through the material and didn't just gloss over it all. But yeah, this has been a cursed dream slash nightmare log. I hope none of you ever have to deal with the fucking dreams I deal with. Because I'm pretty sure it would be paranoia and or trauma inducing in some people. Anyways, bye.